Japan Travel Smart Podcast is an original standalone media project. We remain unaffiliated with any travel agency service or similar commercial venture. This is Japan Travel Smart. My name's Johnny, and I hope you join me to discover a better Japan travel experience. Welcome back to Japan Travel Smart. This is your travel companion Johnny, and this is journey number 27. The easiest way to include Shikoku in your Japan travel plan. Japan Travel Smart is a bi-weekly podcast all about the joy of travel through Japan, far and wide, from the perspective of a frequent visitor who just can't get enough of the place that does it best. I'm here to spark your curiosity and to offer inspiration to experience Japan's overlooked attractions and their charms, to equip you with the tools to better approach the logistics of your trip, and an always fresh perspective on the ever-changing Japan travel landscape. Whether it's your first trip or your 50th, let's uncover the secrets that make Japan a traveler's paradise. Ready for the journey? Let's go. It took us a 27th episode of the show to start introducing Shikoku, but here we are. The island of Shikoku is the smallest of the main four of Japan. Despite Shikoku naturally being part of the Japanese mainland, this island region in particular stands out for being a bit tossed aside by potential visitors, and we do feel like that can be a mistake. One of the possible explanations for this situation is that Shikoku can easily be seen as being isolated from the rest of the mainland, Honshu in particular, as they're separated by the Seto Inland Sea. So on a visit in and around Western Japan, for most, it probably seems like Shikoku can be passed by without missing anything crucial. Many people would probably think that going to visit Shikoku would require making a full commitment to the island, perhaps on a visit of its own. But does that really need to be the case? On this episode of Japan Travel Smart, we're going to explain how to easily add a casual foray into Shikoku as a part of your Japan travel plan, and to find out just how easy and doable this really is. As it turns out, Shikoku features no less than 3 distinct land bridge connections, linking it with the larger Honshu. Each one of these connections actually has very unique use cases, and it's even possible to cross over through one of them on bicycle, or even on foot for anyone determined enough. All 3 bridge connections are options to cross over on a private vehicle, but one of them also has an available rail connection from which you may continue into the island region using the rails. We're going to detail 2 different ways that you'll be able to enter and then exit Shikoku seamlessly as you continue your larger journey in Japan. We're featuring a car rental method and a rail pass method. For the car rental method, there's a very straightforward option to access Shikoku strategically straight from the Kansai region, involving one of 3 possible bridge links. It's via the Akasahi Kaikyo Bridge route. Much of this route to Shikoku is actually an expressway on solid ground through what is the natural bridge traversing the length of the island of Awaji, a very special feature of this route indeed. The impressive Akasahi Kaikyo Bridge is the link connecting the Kobe city area with Awaji Island. This route is not island dotted, but continuous on open land with long expressway straights on Awaji Island. When you get to the bridge on the opposite side, the Shikoku side, watch the water for the famous Naruto whirlpools. These are massive tidal vortices up to 30 meters wide, visible below the bridge during peak tides. It's the especially strong currents here that create the whirlpools. Possible stopovers and side trips on the island of Awaji itself include the vast flower fields of Awaji Hanasajiki and also trying out the local onion specialties. This is because Awaji onions are famously sweet. Next up, we describe the alternate rail pass method of reaching Shikoku via the only existing rail link to the island region. Instead of the city of Kobe, this is a completely different bridge link heading out from the city of Okayama, known as the central route via the Great Seto Bridge. Even if you have no plans for Okayama itself, it'll be useful and necessary to go there to be able to cross over to Shikoku with trains departing from Okayama Station. Crossing over on a train here feels like you're going through a single bridge, but it's in fact several of them crossing over through minor islands and viaducts. The bridge project is a one-of-a-kind double-decker design running a highway road for vehicles in tandem with rail service. You'll be treated with dramatic sea level and island perspectives from your train car. It'll only take 12 minutes to cross over the bridge area on the limited express train, and a little over 30 minutes total to reach Shikoku's first stop, coming from Okayama Station. That's right, that's how quick it can be to be in Shikoku from Honshu. So we are now in Shikoku, an island region of Japan made up of 4 prefectures. In order to avoid confusion, feel free to pull up a map of the region as I describe the plan. As was teased in the title of this episode, a logical way to integrate Shikoku seamlessly into a larger travel plan for Japan involves entering from the east by either of the aforementioned methods, via private vehicle through Awaji arriving at Tokushima Prefecture, or via rail from Okayama arriving at Kagawa Prefecture, and then making our way west toward the city of Matsuyama in Ehime Prefecture. It's actually quite simple as an idea, traveling east to west, but then how should we be departing from Shikoku at the other end of our trip after reaching Ehime Prefecture? There's only one rail access to Shikoku, so without backtracking, how are we supposed to leave Shikoku from a different way if we're traveling on the Japan Rail Pass? In the case of traveling by rental car, you might be guessing that the yet-to-be-detailed third available bridge link would be the answer. But it's not exactly what we had in mind when we did this. Even then, let's take a minute to detail the Western Bridge route to Shikoku. The Western route is the Onomichi-Imabari route, starting from Onomichi in Hiroshima Prefecture, and also popularly known as the Shimanami Kaido. This is the option that allows bicycle traffic on dedicated lanes, completely separate from the expressway. This is a highly scenic 60 to 70 kilometer route depending on detours, crossing 6 islands and 9 bridges to reach Shikoku. This route is probably the most laid back and the one with the most potential for detours. You get chances to experience rural Seto life, featuring small island towns on the way, citrus groves, and the sea breeze. The route is a cycler's paradise, pretty much meant to be experienced on 2 wheels, with wind on your face and frequent photo ops. Crossing this route can be made into a journey in and of itself. Be sure to pick up a citrus-themed treat along the way. We'll be sure to return to the topic of Shimanami Kaido with a more detailed feature on it in the future. So once again, if you are traveling by rental car, you can access Shikoku departing from Kobe and Kansai, then get back on the main track of the more typical golden route back in Honshu by crossing again and arriving at Onomichi. That's one option. The other option is cost-effective, even for people traveling on a rail pass from JR. The idea is to continue your journey in Japan by crossing over to the neighboring major island region of Kyushu by a regular ferry service. A ferry would be the available option to access Kyushu straight from Shikoku and vice versa. There is one ferry company offering such a service, and ferries are boarded west of Matsuyama City at Yawatahama Town's ferry terminal. The ferry ride to Kyushu is not covered by any JR pass, but the regular fare can be as little as 3,000 yen for a person, depending on the ferry's destination in Kyushu. The rail passes that are best positioned to use this travel plan are the JR Pass and the regional JR Seto Area Pass, which offers you a partial coverage of the proposed flow of travel. Next up, we're going to detail our real-life Shikoku 3-night itinerary that involved the use of a JR Pass and continued on to Kyushu. This travel plan offers you the chance to get a meaningful glimpse here, involving 2 prefectures of Shikoku. The first stop on our arrival to Ehime Prefecture on the JR line is at the very gateway of the island region. This is Marugame, a smaller coastal city on Shikoku's northern shore. Arriving here immediately feels like you stepped into a different region for sure. The train emerges from the bridge views into a quiet coastal city with the sea sparkling nearby, distant islands, and a relaxed pace. The standout reason to stop by is for Marugame Castle. This is one of Japan's precious 12 original castles, and also one of the most overlooked. It's often called the Stone Wall Castle for its especially tall ishigaki. Having been to other castles to compare, I would say that it's the stone walls that are the most defining feature of this castle, rather than the castle itself. Despite the small size of the castle keep, the castle walls are among the highest and most beautifully preserved of any castle, up to 60 meters in places. The view up the top of the hill is simply great, with the city, sea, and scattered islands. If you're visiting Shikoku in the middle of the summer, Marugame has you covered because Marugame produces about 90% of Japan's uchiwa. These are the traditional round fans, the ones that don't fold. It's a craft dating from the Edo period, but plastic versions of these fans should be pretty familiar to you if you've attended any type of convention or mass event in Japan, such as Tokyo Game Show. They are usually handing out this style of fan for product placement. There's a museum dedicated to uchiwa near the port area where you see intricate bamboo and paper designs in brilliant colors. After a brief stop and exploration of Marugame, we arrive at our main course for the first chapter of this travel plan, the nearby locality of Kotohira, and its main feature, Kompirasan, and its famous stone step shrine. This is a historically significant and widely recognized Shinto shrine. The shrine dedicated itself primarily to a deity associated with seafaring safety, making it a guardian deity for sailors. Not many people need to concern themselves with seafaring these days, so as one would expect, the shrine has since pivoted to blessings for things like fertility, medicine, commerce, and, of course, general well-being. This location is low-key today, but used to be a major pilgrimage destination in the Edo period. Of particular note is the preservation that this revered site has had over centuries, because it spared itself from the typical destruction and alterations that most shrines suffered over time. Subjectively, the reason you'd want to experience Kompirasan is the ascent via its famous 785 stone steps to the main shrine. I'll let you know that this climb is no trouble at all for anyone that can be considered reasonably fit. It barely counts as a challenge, so feel free to continue to the inner shrine a bit higher up the mountain, for a total of 1,368 steps. As for the main shrine at Kompirasan, up 785 steps, in addition to the elegant altar in the main hall, one of its halls is also filled with model ships donated by grateful seafarers. This is one of Japan's most visited shrines, excluding major cities. Historically, palanquin bearers would carry wealthy or elderly visitors up the full flight of steps. Apparently, this service is still available today for a fee. But come on. Don't miss the sweet kamaboko or fish cakes from one of the many vendors on the way. Just like at virtually any other major or auspicious Shinto shrine, if you visit on a weekend, there's a pretty decent chance that you get to bear witness to a shinzen kekkon, a traditional Shinto wedding ceremony. These wedding ceremonies are unique in that they are often open to the public view. You might already be able to recognize couples in the formal traditional attire, most notably the distinctive white headdress on the bride. Even from a distance, you could easily hear the shrill Japanese flute music commonly incorporated into Shinto rituals. It's worth noting that if you do catch a Shinto wedding ceremony, you should avoid taking pictures and keep a respectful distance from the proceedings. No doubt that this added an ethereal and serendipitous element to our shrine visit here at Kompirasan. Shinto-style weddings have declined in recent times, and many Japanese couples have favored Western-style chapel ceremonies for decades. But Shinto weddings do remain popular for those upholding tradition. They are often held in spring or autumn, and popular major shrines host multiple successive ceremonies on a given day. With this, we bid farewell to our stunt in this area and start making our way to our next prefecture, Ehime. We timed our visit to our next featured location in Shikoku so that it coincided with one of the major festival events in the region, the Niihama Taiko festival in the city of Niihama. This is a Matsuri event held annually, spanning a number of days in mid-October. It's a festival with masculine energy, often called Otoko Matsuri, celebrating raw physical strength with coordinated energy and displays of endurance. The celebration has a centuries-old history, but at the point where the town became a major mining and industrial area, the festival evolved into its present characteristics, emphasizing virility and neighborhood rivalries. The event is somewhat unique in that key processions are spread out around entirely different districts of Niihama throughout the duration of the festival dates. Whichever festival day you're arriving on, be sure to inquire at Niihama Station's Tourist Information Center about what districts have action that day along with their schedule. The type of procession carried out also varies between daytime and nighttime, with daytime having the most intense physicality and nighttime bringing illuminated parades of the unique festival floats. There's a staggering number of these floats that exist for the festival, each one representing a neighborhood tasked with maintaining it. Each float weighs 2 to 3 tons and requires at least 150 men to carry. The floats stand out to me in that they look more or less like big chalices that stand tall and get moved around, just barely clearing the power lines. The floats are basically moving drum platforms, hence their name, Taiko Yatai. The base of the floats are mounted on long, thick wooden poles, which is how they're carried on men's shoulders. It seems like the floats are deliberately made to be awkward to carry and turn around the city streets with, requiring team coordination. A group of instrument players are precariously perched up the tippity top of each chalice float. So the idea here is to have a display of strength where each float team hoists their massive taiko yatai in unison, holding it elevated for as long as possible while marching or posing. Coming out ahead will involve factors like max height, stability, endurance, and aesthetics, with the movements and choreographed displays requiring direction by team conductors, themselves being carried on the floats. The floats always seem to be this close to toppling over. Sharp turns and abrupt movements cause tilting. The guys on top better hold on tightly, never mind the responsibility of banging on the taiko drums. We honestly don't know what stops the floats from toppling over when team coordination falters. We have footage of one float giving out to the side with a huge gasp from the crowd, leaning sharply, and then restabilized after a few moments, followed by cheers and applause. This stunt really needs to be seen to be believed. The main events of the Niihama Taiko Matsuri can draw hundreds of thousands of spectators each year, but it's also possible to join a more low-key neighborhood event during festival evenings on weekdays. After experiencing Niihama's exhilarating festival, we head toward our last major stop on this Shikoku excursion, the important city and prefectural capital of Matsuyama. Up top of Mount Katsuyama, which is a hill at the heart of town, lies the crown jewel in the largest city in Shikoku, Matsuyama Castle. Also, one of Japan's 12 original castles that remain standing. This one includes extensive fortifications besides the main keep built over a quarter century during the Edo period. After several destructive lightning and fire incidents, the current iteration of the castle is a reconstruction from the early 1800s, upholding original methods and materials. Along with its numerous turrets, gates, and walls, it remains one of the most intact structures of the type in all of Japan, because it came out unscathed from Japan's chapter of anti-feudal reform, and it also escaped World War II bombings. Matsuyama Castle is unique among the more visited ones due to its position at the top of a hill rather than being a flatland castle. When you visit Matsuyama Castle, take the lift system from the eastern foothill station. There's ropeway gondolas for groups, or the option of single chairlifts for a quick 6-minute access to the castle. This is one of only a few Japanese castle locations out there with this transport feature. What else is unique in a sense about Matsuyama Castle? It's more of a complete feudal fortress, with original structures including turrets and castle walls. The castle keep is one of the few with wings, so to speak, represented by the attached small towers, a rare defensive feature. Matsuyama City was pretty much built and developed around the castle, and no other structure in the city matches it in prominence, providing the best views in town from within the castle's top deck. Matsuyama is the largest city in the island region of Shikoku. The city's primary claim to fame is actually Dogo Onsen, an ancient bathhouse located in the city and said to have healed both gods and emperors. The city is also known as the citrus capital, as mikan oranges are produced throughout the prefecture. Fresh juice and mikan treats are available everywhere. The Bochan train ride is an experience of a replica steam train running on the tram lines in the city. The train is based on early ones from the 19th century and is a major hit with tourists. If you start spending any visiting time in cities in Western Japan, including this one and the ones in Kyushu, you will notice how tram lines with vintage vehicles running on them is a very predominant means of getting around. Indeed, trams often form a core part of daily urban life and streetscapes in these cities. In Western Japan, The trams are an everyday sight, running frequently through downtown streets and integrated with pedestrian areas. A good number of the street cars are a well-maintained holdover from a different time in history. You should know that this is something that tickles our fancy, as we're huge fans of Showa-era aesthetics. Many of these tram lines are either privately or municipally operated, with only modest upgrades over the decades, allowing older infrastructure to persist. So, Western Japan can be said to have a tram belt, if you will, across many of the cities, where street cars are not just a crucial transport method for locals, but real cultural icons, often featured in media and tourism promotion. Cities like Matsuyama run a mixed fleet of super modern low-floor trams and legacy streetcars, and we feel like there's a lot of intent here to maintain our heritage. Tram systems in Western Japan are often useful to reach important and key areas relevant to tourism, so don't ignore them. The quirk with taking the tram is that you almost always have to step out of the transit station and cross over to the street area in order to find and ride the trams. Other than that, they're pretty straightforward to use. To close out our 3-night foray into Shikoku, we make our way from Matsuyama City to the ferry terminal of Yawatahama in order to continue into eastern Kyushu. And just like that, we've elegantly included Shikoku in a plan that works for many use cases of travel around Japan. We've made Shikoku a perfectly viable alternative by leveraging the different existing options to access it and traversing it by exploring the Seto inland portion. Shikoku can either be entered or exited from the Kansai area, from several cities in western Honshu, and even from Kyushu, with transport methods such as private vehicle, rail, and regular ferry service. Now that you have an outline on what is possible to do and see, we are definitely recommending taking a look at Shikoku for a more comprehensive and unique travel plan around Japan. I really want to express my thanks for you listening to today's episode. This is because the podcasts that I release that are centered around the different regions in Japan gain a little less traction compared to the others, so we really do appreciate it. Now, it's always worth mentioning that this podcast is still looking and always open to collaborate with content creators, authors, etc. on the subject of Japan travel. If you, as an individual, or your media group, believe we could make a good match for guesting, write to me at japantravelsmart@gmail.com. We're all ears. My name's Johnny, and I'm signing off with your reminder to, above all, be smart, and everything else will fall in place.